uh, a quote for the title, such that nothing worse should happen to him. Such that nothing worse should happen to him. Oh dear. Here we go again. On the fly photos. Anyway, I'll just plunge right in. It's a drawing, engraving of Oliver Twist getting chased by a mob. This happened to me shortly after I got to boarding school, just barely 14. A mob of 40 or 50 boys waited for me and then chased me, and according to a tradition there, de-pantsed me. I don't know if de-pants is an English word, but it is now. I didn't resist. I worked to drain as much fun as possible out of the goings on. I acted as if this was the 500th time this had happened to me. I went to retrieve my pants. Wasn't a good start, and things never got much better. Charming. Should have said in the catalog, we will prepare your son such that nothing that happens to him in later life will be worse. Largely true. De-pantsing was the least of it. Did get to check the chased by a mob box, though, for what that's worth. Oh, shit. Let's knocked over the coffee. I'm sure you wanted to know that. Live report. Oh, God, now. And here's some lovely English girls operating a rack. Oh, what a dope. Oh, gosh. I think you can see what I'm seeing. That just ain't so. There it is. Ronald Searle. Portsmouth Priory. Although the first 35 years getting over it were tough, the Priory is now the Abbey, and also has had to admit girls. Unimaginable. My imagination nibbles at the idea and pretty quickly spits it back out. I've seen photos, but it just cognitive dissonance is real. Can't very well ask a girl to drop her trousers and kneel over the back of a chair like in the old days. Getting whacked with a wet sneaker leaves marks for all to see. You'd get arrested. Sarcastic terrorism is frowned upon these days. Wars between houses, using whatever is in season, crab apples, snow, gravel from the driveway, that tradition would suffer. For some perspective, here's this Christopher Hitchens on the joys of his English boarding school, Tonbridge. Ian Watt, an English don at Stanford, in addition to being a world expert on Joseph Conrad, Watt was one of the few survivors of the bridge of the river on the River Kwai, the Burma Railroad, and Changi the Changi Jail in Singapore. In the following passage, he recalls his experience in a Japanese prisoner of war camp. Well, we were in a cell that was probably built for six, but was holding about 16 of us. There wasn't much food, and we hadn't been giving any water for quite a while. The heat was absolutely ferocious. Dysentery had begun to take its toll, which was distinctly disagreeable at such close quarters. Added to this unpleasantness, We could hear one of our number being rather badly beaten by the Japanese guards with rifle butts, it seemed, in their guard room down the corridor. I love all the weasel words the English use. Oh, yes, dreadfully sharp guillotine, that. At this rather trying moment, one of my young subalterns who'd managed to fall asleep started screaming and flailing and yelling. He was shouting, "No, no, please don't. Not anymore. Not again. Oh, God, please." Hideous noises like that. I had to take a snap decision to prevent panic, so I ordered the sergeant to slap him and wake him up. When he came to, he apologized for being a bore, but brokenly confessed that he was back at Tunbridge. Okay, well, I've never been in a prison camp, but when I got thrown in jail, it was like, yeah, okay, this can happen. So there's I think it's Charles Heston and Ben Hur when he got thrown in a galley. There's Charles. He has a lot of bad luck in that movie. Ben Hur. My old school, Portsmouth Abbey, asked me to write something for their brochure. I keep looking, but so far they haven't published it. Here's what I wrote. Back to the galley ship, boys. Time for another 9-month cruise, plying the seas of unknown utility, past the rocky shore of the straits of Algebra, the gloomy bog of Silence Martyr. Strange victuals are yours, scalding grapefruit juice in tiny cans, meat from animals of questionable origin, vegetables boiled since the dawn of time, freedom from the sight of any woman save stoic kitchen workers in hairnets. Come, smell the right guard, it's all yours. Enjoy the slight advantage you will have on the playing field when the opposing team discovers that Father Hilary's 95 sheep have been there first, and what a good bond their droppings make with the cleats of everyone's shoes. It's bad for morale just thinking about diving into it, but you already know. It's only a minor inconvenience to protect your feet from the razor sharp black slate beach. The campus is right on Narragansett Bay, so you'll never miss a stiff onshore breeze as warm air rises over the land and frigid air rushes in from the sea. Boys say some of their fondest memories are stumbling to mass in the lashing fog and pitch black pre dawn light. Want to confess how many times you masturbated to your otherwise math teacher? We've got you covered. Then smile when you get Father Thomas, who always hoots, "Oh, that's not a sin." If you're a sensitive type, you'll enjoy the prior's Monday evening talk in the chapel. You may not catch every word, but his delivery is a slow, lilting, trance-inducing melody that will put you under. It never fails. His somewhat muffled, hard-to-place English accent is charming. Boys, I want to talk to you about reform. Now, when you are confronted by the reform, and so on until you're standing, you're lulled into a trance so complete that when you pop back out at the end, you have no idea what was just said. All the classes are collated by Father Andrew. There are no classes the first week because this takes time. He's a veteran of the Manhattan Project. Perhaps survivor of the Manhattan Project would be more accurate. Don't be surprised if you see him by the garbage can attempting to eat all the leftovers, including the eggshells. He's just working off the nervous strain of mixing and matching 6 classes to 600 boys to the greatest mathematical efficiency using only 3,600 strips of paper the size of the ones in fortune cookies. Enjoy your stay. You'll never forget it. New for 2027, non-disclosure agreements. I'm sorry. Should laugh at my own jokes. I just can't help it. Speaking of surviving, uh, there's a Dumbarton Oaks, which happened to be right across the street from my house. When I went away to Portsmouth Priory, they asked that you sent a picture of yourself ahead. And what I sent was of me standing on the lawn of Dumbarton Oaks. It was across the street. Perhaps I looked right at home. It was one of my favorite haunts. I noticed the monks were acting kind of funny around me, kind of pokey and nosy and stiff. Finally, one asked if that was my house, and when I said no, mine was a normal one across the street, there was a visible change, almost like relief, and they went to be normally rotten instead of extra uptight rotten. This must be what it's like to be a Rockefeller, I thought. Not fun. Adjusting to Durham life, Odetta, 1961. I got so carried away listening to one of her songs that I decided to charge the wall in the common room with a push broom. Jousting night, don't ask. What I didn't understand was that the dorm, being a DU or dwelling unit, built during the war, why I don't know, but it had beaverboard walls, basically loosely compressed paper. The dwelling unit was like these just quick and dirty uh, buildings they put up for barracks. And when they showed me my room, I thought it was a storage closet for my trunk. And it was unpainted, brown, like bead batten, uh, all over the wall, one bare light bulb, which you could slap with a towel and it would get, for a few days it would be a little brighter. And I saw the bunk beds. I don't know. No, that was the room. Anyway, uh, yeah, basically loosely compressed paper, beaver board. I don't think you see it anymore. Maybe it's a bulletin board. The handle of the broom easily went through the 2 layers of the wall. The other thing I didn't know was that Father Stephen's bed was right on the other side of that wall, and he was at that moment enjoying an afternoon nap and was a little surprised when the handle quickly passed across his belly and just as quickly disappeared. He came out in the common room. It was kind of hard to calm him down. How was I to know you can't run into the wall? Never heard of a thing like that. Catholicism is a foreign language. In my mind, the baby Jesus was barely 3 months old, and already we were celebrating his grisly death with a large rabbit, pastel everything, and complicated fasting routines, all part of the Catholic Mystical Dissociation program. There never was much description of what life was like before Jesus canceled original sin. No testimonials. This is great. I feel light as a feather, or words to that effect. No, and the process seemed to leave behind plenty of sins. Very little in the sacrifice format has survived in practical magic. I can only think of pouring out a 40 at a sidewalk shrine, smashing a bottle of champagne to launch a ship, and stomping on a light bulb wrapped in a napkin at a wedding. Only stranger are the holdovers from burnt offering days. The upgrade to blended wine was a godsend. No more complaints from the neighbors about the smoke. What's more, no cleanup. Communion wafers don't even leave crumbs. Now, you barely have to think about cannibalism and human sacrifice. All that went out when we smashed the pagans. Besides, some sharp Jesuit lawyer come up with a workaround: transubstantiation. This particular legerdemain is accomplished by saying certain words. These words, and only these words, turn the haunted wee wafer into Jesus' body, only invisibly. Quote, only the appearance of bread and wine remain. Try that at a kid's magic show and see how far you get. This is some advanced stuff. Google can't even understand if you ask, are there other examples of transubstantiation? Wiki wants you to know the notions of substance and transubstantiation are not linked with any particular theory of metaphysics. But that's cleared up. It works by words, but only if a priest says them. As my dear friend Amy Wallace once said, if absurdity could kill, I'd be dead now. I always thought the Romans advanced into Gaul, say, and after the air had been pacified, they sent the priests. But it turns out the priests are the advancement of the empire. They go in first and scare the bejesus out of the locals and soften them up. You want to be like this guy here, nailed up? Ugh. I never had an experience with a host, not for trying, but nothing ever stood out. It would get stuck to the roof of my retainer, and it would take me the rest of the mass to dislodge it. I was 7 when this started up, so it was peculiar to have a middle-aged man feed me ghostly food that I was enjoined not to touch. If it falls on the floor, do not touch it. No wine, only the priest gets to have holy blood wine. Blood was another element that didn't come up as magically good thing. Oh, good, there's blood. No other blood to drink. Again, a standalone affair. Except vampires, but come on. At Portsmouth Priory, one of the punishments was having to serve Mass for the house father at 5:30 in the morning. Father Damien got to find out that I'd made it to 15 without absorbing one single detail of where to go when. The Latin may as well have been baby talk, not processed with any literal meaning. He spent plenty of time furiously signaling behind his back for me to kneel here or go there. I was assigned different punishments. So at the end of Mass, when Ite Missa Est got changed to go the Mass has ended, I laughed. That's what he was saying all this time? It was done as English with a Latin cadence, solemn, not friendly sounding. I think Buster Keaton did also. Go, the Mass has ended. You wouldn't say that to guests. Go, the party's over. For a little inside joke, the congregation's response, Deo Gratias, has been changed to Thanks be to God. Okay, all right. Oh well.